transformation of a large multinational company like Unilever, moving from focusing mainly on profit and growth to focusing on sustainability. And when Paul Polman joined as a CEO in 2009, he completely shifted the direction of the company, said that the world that we want is a great responsibility and opportunity, and therefore we need to change the way that we think and do business. So if you follow his Twitter account, it's quite remarkable. You feel sometimes like you're following the CEO of Greenpeace, but it's they're genuinely committed to being sustainable with their sustainable living plan. Not a perfect company, but it's interesting to see the direction of operation management to move into sustainability. So what are we actually talking about? I haven't presented myself. I'm Associate Professor Debbie Husky-Leventhal, and at MGSM I teach corporate social responsibility, social entrepreneurship, and organizational behavior. And I just finished writing a book on strategic CSR, which will be published in February. And I like the idea of strategic CSR, and I think it will align with what we'll hear today about having a more of a holistic approach to corporate social responsibility and operation management. I like this definition of corporate social responsibility because it's not about corporate philanthropy. It's not about doing whatever you want in your corporations and then giving some money to charity. It's about adopting an holistic CSR perspective that is aligned with the strategy of the organization and the core operations. Hence, it relates to what this whole conference is about. In addition, it looks at working with various stakeholders to achieve maximum economic and social value over the medium to long term. So if we look at sustainable operation management, it's about tying what sustainability is with operation management. So the definition, one of the many definitions, but one of the most used definitions of sustainable development or sustainability was offered by the Brundtland Report in 1987. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, but about 30 years from since today. And they said that sustainability is not about just, doing less harm to the environment or making sure we do not pollute the air, soil, and so on. It's about meeting the needs of current generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And I'd like us to maybe stop for a second because perhaps you've seen this definition before, but look what actually is encompassed in this definition. It's about meeting the needs of the present generation, not their wants, not the desire to buy whatever we want right here, right now, but the needs, and not just of our consumers, but of all our stakeholders, of our employees, including the ones we offshore and don't think about, and even people who are not part of our immediate stakeholders, not our employees, not our consumers, but other humans around the planet, and we need to think about their needs when we run our operations. If we do it correctly, we should be able to meet the needs of future generations as well. Indigenous Americans, when they do anything, they start thinking about the next 7 generations. How will it affect them? We don't even stop to think about the next generation, not even our own children, how our actions today are going to affect them in the very near future. We need to start shifting the mindset of business, not just to the next quarter, but to the next decade and to the next century. So that's sustainability on the one hand. And then on the other hand, we have operation management, which is about how we create the highest level of efficiency possible within an organization. Why? So we can maximize the profit of an organization. So if we do operation management right, if we're as efficient as we can be, and we assure that we make sure that the labor and materials are turned into goods and services that we sell well, and we do it as efficiently as possible, we should be able to maximize the profit of an organization. Now, some people start to think, I was just doing a podcast for ANZ this morning, and he said to me, well, if we have two people sitting in the room, and one will say, when the question is, where should we invest as a bank? And one would say, let's maximize profit, and the other says, well, we need to think about sustainability. Person one always wins. And I said to him, firstly, I don't think person one always wins, or maybe if it's still so, it will change in the future. But these are not contradicting. You can be sustainable and profitable. In fact, being more sustainable could actually yield better profits. But then again, profit is not everything. So I really love one of my most favorite quotes is by Peter Drucker, the management guru, who said, profit for a company is like oxygen for a person. You don't have enough of it, you're out of the game. But if you think your life is about breathing, you're obviously missing something. So we have to make profit. It's the name of the game. It's the way that businesses operate. We have an obligation to the shareholders, but we have to do something that's greater than just making profit. So my question today to the panel, and maybe later on having a conversation here, can we really combine the two? Can we combine sustainability and operation management? And maybe the question should be, how can we not? So I'm very, very excited to, before I present the panel members, I just wanted to show you a couple of examples that actually show that being sustainable could also lead to profit. Anyone heard of Fairphone? How did you hear about them?
Another academic.
Excellent.
I've actually seen a Fairphone.
Okay.
I've never owned a Fairphone.
It's not too late. I actually heard it from another academic when I was in a conference in Amsterdam, and it is a Dutch company. They try to sustain their entire supply chain. It's really fascinating to see how they go about doing it. So if you know how mobile phone, and unfortunately the guy from Optus couldn't come here today due to family emergency, but if you know how they make mobile phone, there are a lot of parts in the supply chain that are not sustainable. So Fairphone went about looking at the entire supply chain from the little minerals that they need to mine in order to create a phone. They actually start owning mining companies in order to make sure that the employees are treated as fairly as possible, and that they are as sustainable as they possibly can be in 2017 throughout the entire supply chain. It's an open system. You can replace any parts, unlike the iPhone, which you cannot even open. You can replace the battery, and when you're done with it, you bring it back. What is also nice about them, you can't buy the phone. You only have to register that you want the phone, because they only make it in bulks. So you register that you want the phone, and once you've got 5,000 people wanting the phone, they start making it. So it's a very different kind of approach to making products. And how many companies tell you not to buy their products? This is Patagonia, one of the companies most well known for their sustainable mindset. The founder of Patagonia actually started a company because he wanted to start a company that will be as sustainable as it possibly can be. And so sustainability is underlying everything that they do. And it's a nice couple of examples on how we can align the sustainability box with the operation management box.
How do they advertise? So they say don't buy the jacket, and then what happens?
So people still buy the jackets. The idea is don't buy just for the sake of buying. Buy if you need it and if it doesn't last. And they make products to last for 20 years. They will repair your jacket for you instead of buying a new one. And when you really are done with it, they will take it and recycle it. They take responsibility for the entire value chain. So it gives me great pleasure to present to you our distinct panel. We're going to start with Vera from Fuji Xerox, which I will just present each one of them in a minute. But Vera was very kind to walk my students around Fuji Xerox and to show us their ecological thinking in the way that they think about their entire value chain. So when Norma came to me and says, I want to do something about sustainable operation management, I knew I had to have Vera and Fuji Xerox on board. We also have Laura McManus, am I pronouncing it correctly, from Konica Minolta. Dr. David Cook, the CEO of Konica Minolta, is very devoted to ethical supply chains, as we'll hear from Laura. And last, my boss, so be nice to him, Professor Stephen Brammer, the Dean of Faculty of Business and Economics at Macquarie University. So we'll start by inviting Vera first. Vera manages the procurement of spares and consumables from Xerox sources from US, Latin America, Europe, Asia, Japan, and external vendors and OEM suppliers to support various remanufacturing operations. He manages the operations of warehouses which support 6 different lines of businesses. In his role, he develops, installs, and monitors key performance indicators to optimize inventory turns, labor productivity, customer service levels, and sustainability. Vera will discuss cost-benefit analysis and identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the circular versus linear economy. Please join me in welcoming Vera.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some of the experience we had at Fuji Xerox. And I think we got quite a few slides. Rather than going through the slides one by one, I'll give you a bit of a brief. And if you want to read, you can read the slides. And that gives more opportunity for you to ask the questions. And if you want to incorporate any sustainability as a philosophy, it has got to be supported by the top management. And no matter what ideas you have at the floor level, it has got to be incorporated right through. Because our business, we got multiple warehouses right across Australia, and